St. Sims Esports iRacing SMX Championship enters its fourth round tonight on the heels of three great tests of the draft for these opened up spec MX-5 category cars. All three of the previous venues are known for drafting, especially in momentum cars. Sebring's long straights, CTMP's unrelenting high-speed corners, and of course, Daytona's two long stretches on the banking. Well, tonight they get the unique test of the very technical tire-chewing infield of Homestead-Miami Speedway, yet combined with the full 2/3 of a lap run through Speedway 3 and 4 to the start-finish line. Just another test of the capability of these cars to draft, the ability of these drivers to execute that in anger, and yet here, they have to stay together in the twisty bits. Add in an early season points margin of only 7 between the top 4, but with a lot of drivers close but needing to get back into points contention, this should be a shootout, probably a crapshoot. Hi all, I'm Greg Creamer, very happy to be back with you here live on YouTube, and happy to be alongside once again Kyle Heyer. And of course, Kyle, you've called the last two races. We did the opener together. In those opening 3 rounds, what's caught your eye about these cars and their ability to draft?
Well, they certainly can draft a lot better than the last version of these cars who ran in Spec Miata trim. And I think what makes these so fun is that they're so much more nimble. You can really operate quickly around any of these racetracks. They draft better, they corner better, they stop better, they go better. The drivers have been having a lot of fun racing. I think the racing up at the front has involved more players and different players than we're used to. Beans Forster has shot out of a cannon. Wasn't a great round for him last time out at Daytona, but he really has been impressive in the other opening 2 rounds, and he's currently second here in qualifying. We're a little late to the start here. Some technical gremlins I've been fighting all evening long, so hopefully it's not, no one can tell, but I can tell back here. It is a nightmare in my headset right now. But we'll get qualifying coverage for you here. Back down to the racetrack, Morgan Burkhardt, fresh off of a run at Daytona a couple of weeks ago. Here he is leading the way in qualifying.
Yeah, just obviously very busy this year with that brand new program, driving for Porsche in the Michelin Pilot Challenge. Comes through here right now with 3 minutes left in qualifying. A massive margin of 3 1,000ths of a second over Beans Forster, as you were talking about. But the guy who's just been able to do enough to come up into that points lead is Camden Hibbett, and he now sits in the 3rd spot in qualifying, but about a quarter of a second, off of those top 2. And you can see a big off-course run right there. He has just been able to find ways to win, or to at least finish up front. And I think the real stunning thing for him, he's just been really, really good and consistent with the wins. Now, Rice Puto has 2 wins as well, but he just hasn't been able to string together a couple of other things. And as a result, that's a really close points battle. But right now, as you said, Kyle, Morgan Burkhardt, a problem at the opening round at Sebring, had to miss the next 2. He's nowhere in the points. And so he wants to, and Rice Puto running really wide there as he was trying to put together a good late lap. You know, Burkhardt wants to start up front, race hard, try and take some points back, and be the spoiler here and get back into this championship. This is going to be fast.
It sure is. Joshua Soto's also showed some strength so far this season, and each round continues to look better and better. So there he is, P7 at the moment, with just about a minute left here in qualifying. So drivers already on their final lap. You remember that because we run a sort of a heat-style qualifying or heat-style event format where we have races back-to-back. When the timer is done, you don't get to finish your lap. It immediately checks over to the first of the 2 races. So if you didn't get your checkered flag in the next minute and 26 seconds, you're not going to get this lap.
Yeah, so you've got to nail it and nail it right now. The other guy, there he is James Newell, that pink 1-2-3. He has shown some really impressive pace. He's been caught out a couple of times in terms of results, but he has been really impressive in terms of just raw speed here. And we'll see what he's going to be able to put up. Currently, 5th at this stage is Burkhardt, Forster, and now Soto jumps up. How about that, Kyle? The margin between the top 3 right now, 71 1,000ths of a second as Soto slips into 3rd.
Yeah, really close, and it's just really tight around the board. And, you know, we talked about the drafting. You know, we're on Homestead Roval B, so if you look around on the backside of the racetrack, we're running the NASCAR banking, not the Roval A that we'll see later in the season where you have that final chicane leading up onto the front straightaway that you might be able to see just the exit of here. So this is a lot of drafting, probably more almost comparatively than we had at Daytona last week, and we saw how that went with drivers trying to team up, trying to break the draft, but just not being able to with this configuration. So this is gonna be a lot of fun, and every time we come here, turn 2, this place, this corner is gonna eat cars alive.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a matter of fact, in the driver meeting and briefing, that absolute no crash zone, if you will, at the start here is through the exit of turn 2. And so they're really trying to mitigate these first lap incidents that take out a whole slew of cars. We've got one of our bigger entries here tonight as well in this new Spec MX5 category. And I think that's going to be really crucial to see how that plays out here. But at the end, Burkhardt on pole again by 3 1,000ths, and Josh Soto another 68 1,000ths back. Just incredibly close here as we get ready to go with the Full Send Sims SMX Series, round number 4. And again, have to say a huge thank you to Court Schmidt and the full program at Full Send Sims, expanding in so many ways right now and taking this series and this league along for a ride, including in terms of the awards coming up. Of course, at the end of each season, everybody in the top 3 gets a trophy, but the top 3 eligible in the points. I mean, this first place award of the Pro Sim H pattern shifter, that's a 4-digit cost if you were to buy that, and that's going to go to the top qualified finisher in the points. The Butt Kicker Gamer Plus in second, Speed Sensitive Win Sim in third. Full Send Sims, along with their partners, have really upped the ante here. Other partners we've got to acknowledge: FARA, of course, the Formula and Automobile Racing Association. And one of the reasons we're racing here tonight is because not this coming weekend, but the following weekend, there is a big FAR event, the season opener at this very track, and some of the classes, including the new Pro Spec Miata category, will be using this very layout. So it's one of the reasons that they're utilizing that. As always, massive thank you to 3P Logistics and Frank Rodriguez, and to Rob Greenwood and his Final Turn Motorsports Prep Shop. They've been with us from day one. And if you're going to go racing, especially if you're going to go racing in a Spec Miata and SMX or whatever, these are 2 of the absolute best prep shops you could turn to do that. And of course, Wine Country Motorsports have been with us for quite a while as well. Any safety gear you need, from helmet, suits, gloves, shoes, seats, harnesses, anything like that, they've been doing it at a high level for over 30 years. So again, round 4, and we're about ready to go.
Yeah, pace lap to get beforehand. I told you that I had some technical gremlins. Even with the graphics tonight, I don't know what's going on. It's like this is it must be a full moon. You know, I've had what I would call a pretty reliable broadcast the last couple of seasons, but this has just been it's like whack-a-mole tonight with the graphics and the sound, and I didn't do anything.
So it's a bit glitchy, is it?
Yeah, and I'm curious about, like, I'll give you an example, right? If I shut the ticker off, I click now.
Yep.
And there it goes. So it's a real big delay. That's very strange, not normal. So. Very odd, but...
Yeah. And is it just my monitor, or does it look like if the rain was actually in place in iRacing in this program, it would be pouring down buckets right now? Look at those skies.
Yeah, does not look great out there, does it?
No, it doesn't.
94% humidity. There's plenty of water in the air already.
Yeah, lots of moisture out there. And this is going to be fascinating. We've got a number of drivers who have been transferred up. Remember, the SM Series that we've been calling the last 2 years now is on Monday nights, not being broadcast right now, might in the future, we don't know. But that's where a lot of drivers now that are new to this league will go and start. And if they show some real ability, talent early on, a couple of 3 good races, they'll get moved up. We've got a few of them that have moved up tonight. That's helped swell our field a little bit. And that's exactly what this whole concept is about, isn't it?
Yeah, and we'll give you the starting grid on the left there, because I think it'll be too slow to respond to go through it all. But Morgan Burkhardt up on the pole there. Beans Forster has had a phenomenal start to the season. He'll look to continue that momentum. Camden Hibbett, Morgan Burkhardt, they haven't really gone head-to-head all that much. So we might get to see them go toe-to-toe here a little bit on the big banking. And, of course, James Newell, you pointed out, who's had a very strong start to the season in pace. He rolls off P5. Trace Hansen, 7th. Andrew Gilliland, man, he just got the short end of the stick everywhere so far this season. So he is looking to get some points on the board tonight, starting 10th.
Yeah, he's put in some really good runs, but again, as you said, it just seems something continues to happen to him. And even though he's down the order a little bit, let's give a shout out to our fearless leader, Court Schmidt, podium at Daytona in the most recent race with an absolutely amazing pass going into the International Horseshoe to pull it off. So anyway, here we go, getting ready to go. This is that 3-4 section of the track where there's, you can turn down into the infield here if you want to run that full infield course. But this one they call B because you get to use this banking. And in these cars, I love this. I love this layout, and it produces such fun with the draft. And again, you got to play that game with chance.
I had to hunt around to find the camera for that because they're labeled NASCAR 3 and NASCAR 4. But time to go racing, Greg. Round 4, the Full Sense Sims SMX Series. Here we go.
And it is green, and right from the off, good look there from the gray car, Hayden Manis, who's shown speed, but with that inside lane, there you see Morgan Burkhardt diving down and trying to fend off from the outside. A nice move there. Look at really an aggressive move by Camden Hibbett down to the inside, but here's that turn 2 exit we're talking about. Everybody gets it done through 3. So far, so good. We don't know what's happening in the back of the pack. Just get everybody through here, guys. Let's go racing.
Yeah, so far, so good down through there.
Yeah,
already some marbles offline, something to consider as well. We've noted how effective those are at losing you grip now with the iRacing update. So there is marbles on the racetrack from qualifying. Burkhardt, Forster, Hibbett, top 3 here into turn 6.
Yeah, they just couldn't get the blowers out in time between quali and the race here. So it's going to be fascinating to watch. And speaking of that, there he is. Hayden Manis, he had a pole at the most recent event at Daytona. And now you can see he's struggling a little bit back in the pack. And another guy who's been really quick and aggressive there is that number 6. Elliott Burton has continued to impress. But up front, we've got some serious stuff going on here. And there's Gianni Morrow, who has also had an absolutely great start to the season. This championship has blown up for this round, hasn't it?
It really has, and stacked with a couple new entries here tonight as well. 33 drivers in this field. One of them, Daniel Higgins, in this this green number 9, joining us for the first time. Miles Brown is another one of those new drivers. They're finding out very quickly the pace that it takes to run up at the front. They've got a lot of work to do. Even with that slipstream and draft, you've got a lot of cars in the windshield and not so many in the mirror at the moment.
Yeah, Daniel Higgins, you're talking about him. He was 5th in the SM points, but here was the thing. In the most recent round, he jumped up 6 positions into that 5th spot, and apparently they thought that was some pretty darn fine driving. And he just remarkably up to the front, couple of top 5s. Oh! And it's a big incident here. 3 cars caught up, and guess where? Right where you were talking about.
Yeah, Michael Brook, Jason Burke, and I think Daniel Higgins was caught up in that. Let's see if we can get the replay in a reasonable timeline here. Ooh, just a pinch point down there at that opening corner. That's kind of what set that off.
Yeah, and Higgins just had to get on the brakes. He was a complete innocent bystander. Watch it here. There's that pinch. Ooh.
The fast corner.
It sure is. That's a shame, but that's what you have to understand, and that that's part of these academies and the like. Is I didn't catch the number of the guy that was way down to the inside, but when you're 5 car lengths inside of another car heading into a turn, there's no way that outside car sees you in the mirrors. So they turn in, think they're clear, and then suddenly you just appear, and there's very little they can do. And that's just a bit of racecraft you have to learn.
I've heard that described as the vortex of danger.
One Randy Popes, indeed. You got it.
Heck yeah. 17 minutes to go.
It's a bad Randy Popes impression.
17 minutes to go. We're 3 minutes in. Tracking for about 12 laps. That estimation was pretty wrong last week at Daytona. We ran a lap shorter.
When I was rewatching things, it just was off both races.
Yeah,
look at this.
Whoa.
Oh man, that was close.
And Hibbett on the outside here of Soto, who goes down to the inside and takes 3rd place away.
Absolutely. Soto messing. I guess he figured that gold livery was bad luck after he showed some great pace, but not particularly strong finishes in these opening races, and has reverted to a little bit different color graphic here. And then here's Nicholas Rice-Puto, former champion, right on Hibbett 6 as we look at him.
Yeah, new livery on board the 132 this week. Has some splashes of red.
Yeah.
Looking pretty solid.
Confuse us. It is. It's a good look. I like it. As they work through. And the fascinating thing in the previous couple of races, I think it was Beans and Camden had the heart rate monitors on. And, Beans absolutely flying, and so is his heart rate. Camden absolutely flying, and just chill.
Yeah, there you go. There's Beans with his heart rate right now, 107 BPM. Only 128 peaks so far. Lots of time to relax at Homestead Roval with all that straightaway. But we saw at Daytona, even with the extensive straights, the heart rate still got really high in those draft packs. There's a lot of mental work that goes on in draft packs. You talk about NASCAR, restrictor plate or NASCAR or super speedway racing, how exhausting it is just mentally to be packed in there that tight for so long.
Exactly. And I mean, a classic example was the heart rates that, especially Beans had at CTMP. Because you're just on a tightrope. It's a big lunge there. Got a nice toe from the 77 of Soto. He goes by Beans. He might get down to the inside of Burkhardt. Burkhardt covers him off. That's going to tighten Burkhardt's entry. Let's see, can Camden do something? No, he's pinched to the inside a little bit by Beans as well. So everybody's going to track through, and here comes Newell trying to rebound from 6th.
Yeah, watch this. This is on board Camden Hibbett. Watch it over his shoulder, off into turn 1. Watch this. He just fills this gap right to the inside of Beans. Really trusted he wasn't going to tuck in behind Soto there on that run down there. That was really close.
That was, but did you notice where Camden was? He was easily in Beans' mirror.
Yes.
So when Beans did that little glance, he could see him. He just opened the wheel up, avoided contact. That's the racecraft. That you learn, Bo Barfield, one of the stewards, obviously, for IndyCar, calls it presenting. You got to present well so that the driver you're overtaking at least understands you're there.
Or the Adam Jabayism of reasonably expect.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. And, it isn't that you're trying to give it away. It's just, as you're decisively going to make the move. He knows it. If he's smart, he lets you through and you live your race for the rest of the event here. So, but Burkhardt continues to hang on up front here, but Soto looking really racy. These two have opened up a little bit of a margin.
Yeah, they have. I don't know that they're going to completely be able to break away, because the second they get side by side, it's going to allow the others to drive in here. And the thing about Homestead, too, with this kind of kinked turn 1, you can really get aggressive with the corner entries like we've seen Hibbett do. You can be smoother by kind of taking that a little easier, but you can just chuck it down there if you need to make up some time, and Soto drops some tires in the grass. Well,
there's your chuck from Soto. Yes. He really, as you right on cue, managed to hang on to it, obviously. But that allowed Hibbett to slide through on Burkhardt as well, and suddenly things change up at the front. Oh, and the 717, that is Jose de las Casas, and he gets tapped by Higgins. As they were trying to rejoin. I hate to see that happen.
He got tangled back here with Zach Kort-Schmidt that he was...
I think maybe so.
Battling with Andrew Wozencroft.
Yeah.
And just kind of came together there.
Yeah. Oh, that's a shame. And Jose, another of the drivers up from the SM category. And Jose, he's had some really solid runs, of course. We were talking about Farah, and he is one of the 3 principal owners of Farah now. Nice to have him running the championship.
Oh,
yeah. Ooh, another moment there. That was
Trace Hans.
Trace Hans.
And he's got problems.
Something broke on his car. It looked like it affected Jose again.
He's going to come to a stop, and he'll probably call it there, unfortunately. Yeah. Soto leads the way here. Rice-Puto and Forster kind of battling for that bottom lane on the banking.
And Skip Brock, who has had some really aggressive, good runs. We've seen him run with pace here throughout the first couple of seasons, but he sometimes hasn't been able to match with up front moves. Speaking of that, look at this. We're 3 wide into 2 for just a second. And then everybody went, hang on. That is tough math. Ooh,
trouble
what
for
happened
Forster.
there?
Forster's in the middle of the racetrack, and he's going to reset. He is frustrated. Let's see what happened to him.
All right.
Oh, I think it's going to be Rice-Puto tracking out. And they just get hooked together.
Yeah, they did. It's tough to tell there, whether Beans was pinching or whether Rice-Puto was just slipping and getting into his side. Regardless, it really hurt Beans clearly a lot, and that's tough coming in here second in the points.
Yeah, that's going to be a big blow, and he did the right thing by getting off the racetrack there. He was sort of stuck dead stick in the middle of the track. Before retirement, Skip Brock Jr. is among them. After that incident. And Morgan Burkhardt having a look at Joshua Soto on the backstretch, but these front 3 are starting to leave Nicholas Rice-Puto in the rear view.
Yeah, they are a little bit, and Newell has now got an opportunity. How about the run of Gareth Nyland? Sitting in 6th spot right now, doing an absolutely superb job. And look at the move up, way up high by Soto. I wonder if he's starting to, if he thinks, all right, I've got the pace, I can do something here. I need to start explore what my options might be as we get deeper into this race coming toward the checker.
And Soto up on the inside of the 2 PRG cars takes a breather on the entry here. Some folks asking about the marbles on the racetrack. Yes, there are. And it was actually, they've been around for a while. If we pause this right here, I'll show you. You can see all the dirt and debris and things offline. Yep. That is dynamic. That dirt and debris was not there when we started this session. That's all from cars bringing dirt and mud back onto the racetrack. The same is true of the marbles, which we'll try to get you a better show of. But they've been around in iRacing for about five or 6 years, but they've just recently done an update. Makes the reaction to driving over them much more realistic. Here, we'll pause again. Mid-corner, if we can try to get it. And you can see the marbles right next to the gray 03 car there, just offline. So you get into those, It makes things a little slicker.
So now they're even more dynamic, is what you're saying.
Yes, they were there before. They didn't look that great. They didn't really do much to the car. They went through and completely redid all the grip and traction models and how the marbles and debris were distributed on the racetrack. And it was a very extensive update and just totally added to the already immense realism of the iRacing simulator.
Having a good look here at Josh Soto as he's got Camden Hibbett glued to his bumper. Little more a margin here for Burkhardt. Not a ton, but he's got a little bit of breathing room here. That'll evaporate quickly as we head here into Speedway 3 and 4. And one of the things that we have seen Camden do incredibly well, and I think I saw that's what Josh may have been trying when he went up high, is you get midway between 3 and 4 and you're running a little higher line if you're in a tow, and then you roll down the banking. You use the gravity of coming down the banking to give you a little bit of a boost on that rundown. And we'll see that's playing out here. And look at this fabulous little battle back. Dylan Lee just getting around on Hayden Mann.
In the middle of this is Celine Roland, who we know has had extensive experience in the Real World Global Mazda MX-5 Cup Series, and he's going to get tagged here. I was just about to say he has not had the best of luck. He'll get back rolling and drop down the order a little ways.
Yeah, and you really wonder about that because yes, there's a guy inside you, and we can argue about, okay, is he far enough inside? Is it his corner, whatever? But when there's somebody inside you, why do you continue turning in? You know what I mean? Open the wheel just a little bit, and you won't have that contact. And nowadays, with the new contact, packages on these cars, you can knock out the toe a little bit. You can do little things that will affect your race. And I've seen that a lot. It just looks like the guy on the outside just, like there's, all right, I'm just going to turn in here. Well, there's somebody there.
Yeah, it could be also a side effect. Again, we talked about the different setups that drivers have at home to compete in this series. It helps a lot to be in virtual reality or to have a single or more than one screen. I'll give you an example here.
Yeah, true enough.
This is Seth Spolman's on board here. Seth is running down at 21st. He's got some virtual reality. So you can see as his head moves, he's in his own virtual world. So he can turn and look out the window to the left or to the right and see what's going on. If you were just on this single screen without that head tracking, you can't see what's to your door, right? So, the setup that you have will absolutely help your awareness on the racetrack.
And it did, big potential double lunge here, and he thinks better of it, does Camden. So Burkhardt now Soto up into that second spot. That's where he's been with Camden. But tell you what, this sort of cut and thrust up, right in the middle of the track for the 136 at Nyland. He was having an incredible race. Yeah,
Gareth Nyland in the 136. I didn't see how he ended up here. He got in a little hot, got into the back of the 123, or tried to stay off him, put all the weight on the nose and spun it out.
Yep, that's exactly right. That's a shame because he worked his way up into 6. He was having a really, really stout run here. A little bit wide there for Soto. I think Burkhardt's going to get him. I mean, Hibbett. Maybe not.
Going to give a shove to the 77.
Yeah, Josh will appreciate that greatly.
James Newell has joined this club. It's now a 5-horse race for first place, and we got about 6 minutes to go. So probably close it in on 3 or 4 laps at the moment.
I'll tell you, you can see Morgan now just starting to gap him a little bit. And, these guys now, they just need to run line of stern just a little bit, get back up to him. And that's the thing with Morgan, because he is really astute at strategy, and let's be very honest, ruthless strategy.
Yes.
And he has absolutely no qualms. There are times when he will back you up and try and get a pack behind him, because he'd rather have other drivers hounding you than you hounding him alone. But then he also has the ability, when you think, he's going to come back to us, to just drive away. And so look at this. Wow, way down to the inside for Camden this time, trying to get underneath Bryce Budo. And he got Bryce Budo wide enough, Kyle, that you can see the little wiggle. But Nicholas not going easy here. Wants to have this inside through turn number 5. Does he get it done? Wow, down to the bowl. They're still side by side.
Yeah, he's really enjoyed that big lunge on the inside of turn one. He's done that a number of times now. And just, you can put all 4 tires on the curb. You can drive down to the wall with no penalty here in iRacing. So he'll take full advantage of that if drivers are leaving some space on the table.
Yeah, no qualms about that. And again, this top 5, and you know, the minute we get into the infield just a little bit, and some of it is because of that attack going into 1 and 2 over there. But you see Morgan just suddenly, it's about a half second, right? Back to right now the 77 of Soto. And this accordion keeps happening. Morgan looks really hooked up here in the infield. And then, of course, the draft sort of negates that. What do you think at this stage of the race? Is Morgan going to maybe at some point try and drop back a spot or 2, knowing he might just be a sitting duck up front here, or is he just going to say, see it?
I think that's what Morgan Burkhardt thinks that the others think he's going to do. But yeah. I think he's smart enough to kind of play this, you know, sort of the reverse psychology here. I think that, you know, he is definitely competent enough to stand trial at the front of this field on the last lap. He's got so many tricks up his sleeve.
This is true.
So I think he'll battle it out. But as I say that, he is giving the spot up to Soto. So maybe he's doing this now with the intention of trying to steal it back. Oh, trouble! Ooh! And it's him that goes around.
Yeah, it's another one of those moments now. You know, was Rice Puto clearly alongside? Now that's not for me to, you know, to call really. But again, you know, there's somebody down there. Don't just turn in on him. Now at this point, we're into that zone of death, and at this point, I don't think Camden has any clue he's there. No, and I think Rice Puto, you know, could he have also turned in a little bit sooner? He was a little bit mid-track there, but either way, it doesn't matter. Hibbett rebounds for 4th, but well out of the battle for the lead, which is now just 2 cars at the moment. Yeah, and keep in mind, Hibbett now is your points leader coming into this. He's back and 4th. That's, you know, at least something. 2nd in points, Forrester's parked. So this is going to be a huge swing potentially in the points. Now you do get the 2 drops over the course of the season, and that's 2 events, so essentially 4 races, correct? I think so. Is it? Is that how it works? 4 races? So that 4 of 15. I think 2 event drops. Yeah. Essentially, we have 30 races, right? So you get to drop 4.
Oh, that's that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So
here comes Morgan Burkhardt up to the outside.
25 points. Yeah, 25 points a pop for a win. So there's 50 points available in each of these events. So, you know, there's the math. And yeah, Morgan just a little side draft there. Got a heck of a run, didn't he? Experiment. He would have won that race if it was this lap. And then give it up.
It's going to be 2 laps to go this time through. So next time will be the white. Number 3 wide back here for 6th. Hayden Manis, the pointy end of this.
Yeah, he's been right in the mix. Moved up, big bump there from the Dillon or Deacon Greenfield, who ran a little bit wide. And as he came back, they just tapped each other. Yep, that's it.
Yeah, drops you down to 14th. You can see the frustration there.
Yeah.
But no frustration between these two. I'd say it's safe that these drivers will both end up on the podium. The question now becomes, you know, you always look at this as a multifaceted equation here where there's going to be more than 2 cars. So the calculus changes if you don't have someone pushing you from behind. Yeah, that's a really good point. You know, right now, I mean, Newell, there you see him in that pink nose machine. Pretty solid 3rd at this stage, and deservedly so. I mean, he's been really quick this year, and nice to see him have that opportunity. See that bit of rotation from Morgan on the exit of 8 there? That's acceleration, but when you're sliding, you don't get quite the dig off of that corner that you want. But I don't think, you know, the draft is going to more than make that up for him at this stage. But right now, this is all studying, playing that game. Where can I do something here? And for Soto, it's like, where do I go to defend? Can I? So
in any way, sure.
Burkhardt also, when he's laying back to build this run, he's going to experience now, you know, was that enough? He's going to lift here. So all he did there, and see Soto hit the brakes, so they're both going to battle to be 2nd. But, you know, even if you're leading, you need to know how far back they can catch you from. If you're leading by 0.8 of a second and it's not possible to build a draft from that far back, don't worry about it. Lead the race to the end if you think you can build that. And with all that scrounging and battling there to be 2nd, Soto hit the gas pedal. He's 0.8 clear, so maybe that's enough. We'll see. Yeah, that was, you know, at the minute he did that. Oh, more contact in the back. Here's the number 6 of Burton involved, and the 87 of Sullen in the background as well. I think he's got some pretty significant damage. Yep, and this time Again, I think it's just too car. You see Roland go to the inside there and just kind of tracks out a little bit too much. And big stack up there. Wow, the 6 car climbed up on top of him.
Yeah, massive airborne. Got Gilliland involved. It was Ian Anderson, the 147 that he got into, though. But again here, and what that did is it's allowed Newell, that one little double brake jab going into one who was trying to establish where you want to be, has allowed Newell to come up to within a couple of seconds of Burkhardt. That's not, I don't think he's got enough. It's down to these 2 guys, but can he make up this much distance here in this draft?
Just going to suggest that he might not be able to. 0.6 of a second on the backstretch is a long way to go. Coming back to the checkered flag this time, it's half a second. He's going to need to carry all this momentum to the stripe. He might get there, but it's looking unlikely. Let's see.
Yeah, and the best thing right now for Soto is drive the shortest line you can. Yeah, it's going to be Josh Soto, who the braking duel, ironically, is what paid that off. Burkhardt second. James Newell, great to see him up on the podium here. Camden Hibbett saves some serious points for 4th. Bryce Pudo in 5th, a little frustrated, I'd imagine. And Hayden Manis, well, things are changing here. It's Hibbett, then Bryce Pudo now ends up in 5th. And that is your top 5.
Yeah, and going back to that battle to the white, I think that was, that's why I'm never really a fan of playing the brake checking game to get in second, because you're all going to lose. And so at some point, you're going to lose time, and then whoever bails out of that strategy the quickest is going to drive away. And I think that's, Burkhardt probably would have been better served to not do that and just let Soto get in behind him and then try to control the race from the front. We saw how well it went for Soto. But, because Soto hit the brakes so hard, he probably would have lost enough time to lose.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is if we go back and watch it, I think Soto, he hit the brake but had his foot planted firmly on the throttle. Because when he did that little check down, he was back on the hammer immediately. Now watch this here. Yeah, tough to see it from that angle.
Yeah. It seemed like he didn't have the foot on the throttle. He did leave it in 6th, though, and didn't downshift for a while. But either way, it's going to be Soto that wins race 1. And I'll be honest, it was a little anticlimactic with that pile up there with a couple laps to go. But lessons learned. Lessons learned,
indeed. But it just seemed to me like the minute Soto hit the brake, like he was in his mirror, and the minute he saw the nose drop on Burkhardt's car, he just dropped the hammer. And I think that's, it may have been what got him just enough of a gap to hang on here. And, once again, if it wouldn't have been for that little bit of a get-together, there was some absolutely incredible racing a little bit deeper into the pack. You hate to see that unfold. But once again, this track delivers. Maybe it wasn't a thousandth of a second finish, but it was an amazing job of strategy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly was. And we got another race coming up here in just a moment's time that is going to set us up pretty well to see it all over again. Let's step away for a brief moment, and we'll be right back after this from Full Send Sims.
Simulation will never replace real-world racing, and I don't want it to.
Full Send Sims provides custom-built, top-notch simulators from whatever your budget is. We want to find the best fit for you.
We build rigs for pro drivers where we go and measure their cars, every measurement one-to-one down to the millimeter. You can drive these sims and certify basically to race a car in the real world. Matter of fact, this weekend we have 2 guys that work with FSS that have strictly been sim racing for the last 5 years.
Absolutely did not think a year ago I'd be driving a race car this weekend. However, getting into the simulator, I think it really helped me get on the track and stay competitive.
I've been a sim racing instructor for about 2 years now. The benefit of working with me as a race coach, I'll get you to be a better driver, a lot faster, with a lot less mistakes than you could doing it on your own.
We take the sim building and the sim training as serious as possible. It's not a video game, it's a training tool.
Full Send Sims will offer fully custom-built rigs and delivered and installed into your own home, and constant online service. What we offer is world-class, top-notch racing, built by a community of racers who enjoy passionate, clean racing.
And welcome back to the Full Send Sims SMX Series. Just 2 minutes left here in this warm-up before the second race. And Greg, we were treated to a pretty exciting race number one. I think we also learned that this racetrack offers up a lot of passing opportunities, but also a lot of trouble opportunities. Most of those trouble opportunities happen at turns 1 and 2. So what did you learn about those incidents that drivers can apply for the second race?
Well, I think, it's exactly what we were talking about is track awareness. And, if you're going to make a pass on somebody, don't be so far down to the inside or make it so late that they have no idea you're there. Now, I'm not saying telegraph it. That's a whole different deal. But if you're going to make that move, get your car in a position where if they just do a quick glance into that side view mirror, they're going to see a flash of you, because that's going to allow them to say, "Ooh, don't turn in quite so much." And I think what happens is it's a very wide run, of course, down the front straight, pretty wide as you bend off down in through turn 1. And then, as you said, you get into turn 2 where it's really tight and snug. That's a weird little moment there.
Yeah, watch we were talking about the marbles. Watch very carefully as this car drives through them. So you see the marbles on the racetrack. Watch them bounce around and fly up.
There you go.
Look at
I
that.
love that.
That is
Real
so
world.
Cool. That is so
real
cool.
world, and that's what this whole league is about. It's fun and racing and everything, but it is also about, you want now to have an idea of when you run wide, onto the marbles in a real world event. Now you can sim that a little bit, and that's huge. But yeah, getting back to what we were talking about, it's just, if you're going to, note that if you're way to the inside of somebody at a certain point, as Randy Pope said, in that zone of death, you've got to turn in. At a certain point, your eyes are off the mirrors, off the road in front of you. They're up through the corner. And if you're way down to the inside and you've come with a late lunge, so to speak, so there's no reason for them to know you're there. Either present, get right up next to them so they have a sense that you're there, or just check out of it. Just back out of it. And, otherwise, you're both going to likely be done. And that's not fun. So.
Yeah. We were also talking about the different setups and the ways that you can see the racetrack. We already showed you virtual reality. Beans has got a triple screen setup, so he's not in the car right now, but that left side monitor will show out the left side window. The right side monitor will show it out the right side window, so you can see to your side, which is useful. Some of those that are using one monitor, like we already looked at Seth Spolman, imagine he's not in the virtual reality headset, how little you can see. So,
and look on that monitor. Look at that rear view mirror. There's nothing in it.
Yeah, so you can see just above it. There's the virtual mirror, which that's mostly done.
That helps.
It basically keeps it in a consistent spot on the screen. But there's a lot of tweaks and things you can turn the virtual mirror on and the real mirror and have two mirrors. There are side view mirrors. There's lots of things you can do. So, just an interesting look inside of iRacing as the cars grid up for the second and final race.
Wow, and let's keep in mind here that your leader ended up fourth, and salvaged some absolutely crucial points. Your second in the points, Bean Forrester, is going to be starting well in the back. Josh Soto came in fourth, wins it, so he's going to make up a nice little chunk. Rice Puto came in third. He's going to drip back a little bit, but then Skip Brock came in sixth. He had problems. Trace Hans had a good race, but I think he had some problems. So some of these guys, they really need to string together some points here to get back into this championship. Yeah, we're early in. We're not even a third of the way through yet. But you can't just, you can only give up 2 events worth. And if you have 3 bad events, that's going to hurt you.
Yeah, and you can see, Beans starting down in 29th place. You mentioned Trace Hansen, 27th. Skip Brock Jr., 31st. Yep. So there's just a lot of work to do. If there's any racetrack on the calendar I would like to have to start from the tail, it's this or Daytona. I don't want to have to do this at Lime Rock Park. So, if you're going to have a mulligan race, I would absolutely choose these big draft tracks where these wrecks can happen out of nowhere and you're not completely in control of your own destiny. When you go to places like Watkins Glen or, Road Atlanta or what have you, you don't want to have to carve through the field, especially without as much time to draft as you have here.
No, I absolutely agree. The other guy that I feel for is Garrett Nyland, who was up in that top, I think he was 5th for a little bit, and had a problem. And, it's just weird to me to see Preston Martis back in 16th in anything.
Yeah, it's definitely a foreign feeling, especially in a Miata. But I think coming up to grips, I think we might have seen him once so far in the championship. I don't recall seeing him on a weekly basis, so maybe just
not at all.
Still coming accustomed to the SMX profile of this car.
Yeah, that number 42 right there. These are different. We were talking about that at Sebring. You can viscerally see that they were just more pointy into the corner. Lighter weight makes the car more more responsive in every element, right? Braking, turn in, acceleration, the whole thing. And you can see that, and they accelerate quicker. We can hear it. It was a more abrupt acceleration getting up onto the cam, just that much quicker. They just work better, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's
really gotta be a blast to drive.
They really drive like a Miata race car, right? Which is sort of the intention of this car from factory when these were the official racing spec car, at least at the manufacturer level. But I know Mazda is a big supporter of the Spec MX-5 SMX Series now that travels and has now recently become a part of the SCCA runoffs, which was big news a couple of seasons ago.
Absolutely. It put on some fabulous racing, and we're definitely a bit quicker than the Spec Miata, which still produces some great racing. But this SMX or Spec MX-5 just makes these cars just that much snappier. It was almost like when they, got that Gen 3 motor in the Spec Racer Fords.
Oh yeah,
just that little bit of extra punch that just brought them to a new level of competition, and that's what we're seeing here.
I remember that well because after a while we got the Gen 3 updates for the Spec Racer in iRacing, and it involved the sequential transmission as well. So going from the H pattern to the sequential and more power, and it was definitely a big change to how that car drove.
Absolutely.
So pace car is going to roll off in 20 minutes again here, Greg.
All right, and the question is, can Josh Soto in that black now 77 repeat? And here we go, we're green! And way in the back, optimistic lunge back there, see if that's going to pay off. I hate when I see that because, again, now it's 3-4 abreast heading in to this very tricky turn 1, now up into 2. Let's get through it again, guys. You were brilliant in that first race. Just get through it here. So far, front 10 look pretty good.
Yeah, this
now,
is the pinch
tricky
point.
turn 3.
And there is debris all over the racetrack at turn 3. They definitely, there's settings in iRacing to clean the track up prior to the session. I think they've been left unchecked. I'm not sure if that's typical or not, but I think also the drivers were spreading the marbles around, picking them up with their cold tires, which is something that you can do. So this first lap might be a little sketchy on the racing line.
Yeah, well, I see a lot of guys that are doing a little bit of bobbing and weaving, and woo, that was Sellen, who just had nowhere to go and just hammered the back. I didn't see the other car. Is that Johnny?
Yeah,
having a problem too.
Johnny, but Jim Friedhofer. Yep, he went around for a loop.
Yep. But look who got the lead up front. It is Burkhardt up there again over Soto, Newell.
Oh, big pile up.
Big coming together. 2-3 now. Another car. It's a 33 a quart. Schmidt. Oh, what a tough thing here. Right there. Set up underneath the
and the 80 Wozenkroft just spun on his own ahead of this.
I think, he and I think that's Jose De Las Casas. Watch from here. Here's the purple car. Got a little tap. That gets into the side of court. And that was Preston Pardis, I think.
Cars everywhere.
Preston just got a little bit of a tap there. So Court is out. He's going to be frustrated after that podium at Daytona.
Yeah, that was a great run for him. And he was leading coming out of NASCAR 4 there. He knew.
Yeah, he was.
He knew the second he got that lead, he wouldn't be at the front coming to the checkers, but he was smiling ear to ear on that run all the way to the start-finish line.
Yeah, and it was fun to watch when I rewatched it, to see his eyes hunting in each mirror. And you could see the moment when he realized, no. And just absolutely fabulous here. But Hayden Manis, how about this? Gareth Nyland, you remember where he started? I mean, it was in the 20s, wasn't it? He's
18th.
The 18th. That is a staggeringly impressive drive up to the field here.
He's going to get 7th now from Rice Puto, who has not really shown a lot of pace in this race so far.
No, he hasn't.
Sure if he's got some
Manis just got him too, got Rice Puto. He gets tapped again right there.
I don't see anything that tells me that 03 should be off pace, but he's definitely lingering back here in the bottom half of the top 10.
Yep, that's that white car with the red and blue sort of highlight or flares there. That's Ian Anderson, who currently is sitting in that 10th spot with Andrew Gillen, the young man, right behind him.
I'll tell you here with Gillen.
Yeah, once Mr. Gillen really figures out his racecraft, this kid's going to be unbelievable.
3 wide into turn 1 for a moment.
Look at this.
Back to 2, but pretty dicey off into 1.
Yep. Oh, now Soto runs wide. Hibbett up on the curb. And just enough. And again, Soto, I think, maybe sensed that Morgan was going to clout that curb. And as we were talking about, just opened the wheel up a little bit. Gave him the space, if he did, to be able to come over here. And that's how you do it. Beans, as he just made a nice move there, trying to come up. I think that was Jason Burke in that purple car with the 2 white stripes. Again, Burke kept it pinned nice and tight. Beans gave him room. That's how you make this work.
Preston Pardis had the tires in the grass at turn 5. Climbing up on the curbing there. And he did not qualify. That's why he started so deep.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
In race 1.
All right. There he is, that number 42. So he and Beans are going to be going after it. Bob Mueller Jr., who's shown some really good pace in the first couple of rounds, right up in front of them there. That sort of muted blue car. I'm sure there's a more accurate name for that.
I always enjoyed John Heinhoff's color names. Sunrise Orange. I can't do his accent, but you know, he'll always tack on some amazing adjective onto every color that he mentions.
JJ Little.
Here comes
look at this
Soto.
here now. Side draft, got a really good run. Boy, I'll tell you, I think he was hoping Newell will go with him, but look at this, side by side. It's a breaking duel down into 2. Soto has to give it up, and again, as he does that, Hibbett squares up underneath. Now, can Soto keep that outside line through 3 as Burkhardt floated really wide? So Morgan, he's going to be slow here out of 5, I think, because he was really wide at turn-in into the bowl. Or really tight, I mean, came in really tight, and there it is. You can see, and at this stage, though, Camden elects not to try and dive down the inside, playing the strategy game. And look, Hayden Manis is absolutely booking right now.
Up to P5 on the outside of James Newell for 4th. Johnny Morrow as well in that 18. You know, it's been an interesting day for him so far. 8th to 6th. Ended up having a decent result in race 1.
Yep, and look at that as Hayden goes through on Newell. For a second there, Morrow thought, oh, maybe I can slide up inside as well, but no, both of the guys up in front running wide. A couple others as well. And remember, you got Nyland there, you got Rice Pudo, that green car that fades to blue is Deacon Greenfield, that's 9th. And then the white right there, the 91, that's your 10th place car. Right now, that group covered by 2.5 seconds.
There, your front 3 are starting to break away again. Manis is trying to. We call this a draft bridge. Manis is still within drafting range, but he's got to pull those other cars up with him. Otherwise, they will lose the draft.
Yeah, and there goes Rice Pudo diving down or trying to get underneath Nyland. Couldn't do it.
He might try to sneak up later. Oh, but I see Nyland pop to the left on Morrow.
Yeah, Kyle, that was well done, but I think the bigger part was when he realized, nope, if I do that, we're going to hit, and somehow got out of it. Didn't lose a position, but didn't hammer Morrow. That's how you make an adjustment.
Watch Greenfield here. Had the right rear tire in the dirt, goes to turn in, and I think he's going to be submitting his application for the Formula Drift season. Watch this as he goes in to turn 3.
Oh, nice.
Look at the grass and dirt, dust and debris behind him as well.
Wow, what a catch. And you caught that as well, Kyle. That was great. Wow. And that's backed him up now, and he's got Andrew, and then Ian Anderson in the 147 and the 2 with Dylan Lee. And right behind, well, ways behind here. See, yeah, about 3 seconds adrift of these guys is Beans.
Take your eyes off the leaders for a second, and they start swapping positions. Burkhardt and Hibbett, they almost swapped.
Yeah.
But look what Manis has done. He's dragged the rest of the field back up to them, so no longer is it a 3-car breakaway.
No, 5 cars, because you know here Newell's going to move up in a fairly big hurry, and I continue to be hugely impressed with Gianni Morrow. Look at this, 3 wide in terms of the run here. Look at Hayden, he's trying to go up high, now drop down the banking, use that little bit of extra gravity to try and do something. Now pick your partner here as they come by. And a lot of this right now, I think, is just exploring. You know, okay, where can I do something that'll be decisive enough? Ooh, a little bit of a miss of the apex there by Soto. He had that spot. He was there, but he ran wide. Burkhardt's not going to miss that opportunity.
Yeah, got in the marbles a little bit, and I think Hibbett's a little offline here too. Kept it close enough to the racing line to not cost him time, but it's just so, I mean, with how much marble generation we've seen here, it is crucial to be on the racing line. You just lose grip. You can't rip the outside and just carry more momentum like you used to be able to here in iRacing.
Wow. Did you see that move by Andrew? Was that an evasive move? Did he carry too much speed? Because that was one of those I would have thought would have ended in absolute tears here.
Yeah.
Watch this late pop. Look at that. I mean,
he overslowed. I don't think he intended to make a pass there, but
yeah, I think it, yeah. So look at this train. This is absolutely amazing. And as a result of that, Ian Anderson slides through in that 147. I'm resisting every urge. When I talk about Ian Anderson. There they are, those two battling, but here we go back up front. Burkhardt, bit of a margin to Hibbett here. Soto again running high and seemingly want to drop down.
I don't know that I would be doing this right now. This is
No.
you're 8/10 back. You're already about to lose the draft.
Yep.
You want to be working together here.
Not the thing to do. Got half the race yet to go. Now there's a nice move by Soto. Gets through on Hibbett. And I thought he was just going to tuck right back in. Now he could be a sitting duck on the exit here because of how tight he went in. And yep, Hibbett goes right through on him.
Tight train here through 3 and 4. About halfway through this race, as you pointed out, 10 minutes down, 10 minutes to go.
We've seen a couple of stunning drives, haven't we? Talking about Gareth Nyland from where he started and came up through the field, but same for Hayden Manis. And showing that pole at Daytona was in no way a fluke. We knew that, but after that problem in the first race, to see this come right back up to the pack is pretty impressive. Trace Hance running a little wide there at about 13th.
Yeah, Forster, I think his progress is likely going to stall here unless he picks up some spots from cars dropping out ahead. They're about 4.5 seconds behind that front group. And that's just what happens when you have to dodge and weave and avoid all the carnage that happens mid-pack. You just end up losing time. So he wasn't able to make up enough positions quick enough, but still a great drive to minimize the damage.
Absolutely. And remember here, this place is, especially the infield, is just brutal on tires. And when you're working your way through after having an off or a problem and being way back, you're just torturing the tires more as you're passing, and that's tightening up angles and scrub and everything. And this place just beats him to death here. So Abid's doing everything he can, as is Camden here, as he's studying once again these two, Burkhardt, Hibbett. We've seen that up front. Oh, Newell! Just getting the nose underneath Hayden there. And that actually slowed him up and gave Rasputo perhaps a thought, maybe I can do something here. He's going to be that was too tight. He got pinched through 3.
Preston Pardis has had an incident. Looks like he is out as well. So not really going well for the Global MX-5 alumni tonight.
Yeah. Former national champ in Spec Miata a couple of times over.
I find it a lot harder, and I'm sure Preston will admit this as well. I'm sure Roland would too, but I find it a lot harder to go from driving a real car to the sim environment because you're lacking input that you use to go fast and that you use to have situational awareness. When you start in a simulator, obviously there's a lot of skills that you have to learn, but when you get in a real car, all of a sudden you have way more input to your senses in addition to just what you're doing with your eyes and your ears. So I find it unsurprising that they've had a little bit of a challenge adjusting to the SMX and SM series here in iRacing.
Yeah, and I think you're spot on with that, because you think about it, even if, you've got the multi-point rig where it's moving and you hit a bump and, all of that, you still don't really feel those lateral loads, do you?
No, and I've done the motion rig thing, and it's fun. I don't think it really simulates the experience of those lateral forces that you mentioned. So it's cool, and I would absolutely love to have a rig that has that stuff, but it doesn't replace the real-world seat-of-the-pants feel and the butt dyno. Because it only gives you momentary accelerations, not those prolonged ones. So, it's helpful, but probably not in the way that would be useful to a driver who really comes primarily from a real-world driving background.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't feel that little slip in the rear that tells you, there's a lot of information. I love you call it a butt dyno. I've always said, with all the hundreds of sensors in modern-day cars, the most important ones are still labeled LC and RC, and that's left cheek, right cheek.
Yeah. And what's so cool though is that for sim racing drivers, they're using just their eyes and their ears, right? So when
Yes.
they get into a real car, you know, this was my experience when I first drove on a racetrack. It was Road America in a Spec Miata, and I was immediately at home just visually with where the corner stations were, you know, with where the corners are, where the braking markers are, and that just cuts down so much of your learning curve. It doesn't teach you how to drive the race car, but it absolutely cuts down on the length of time it takes to learn the basics.
Absolutely, yeah. And then you just start using the feel, and I think that's why, you know, we saw Josh McCarry and Beans in their first opportunity in race cars. And they just said, you know, we got out there, never turned a wheel like this before on a real track, and we're very comfortable in the car at the track. And as you said, they already had all of the sim inputs. Now they had, they could, you know, fold in the real world stuff and, you know, start doing racing like that. Oh, big moment for Burkhardt. Hayden Manis got, I think he had a little bit of a target fixation trying to figure out what was Burkhardt going to do. It got right into the back of Soto.
Yeah, you see Hibbett had to go for a ride there. Was in the marbles coming back on the racetrack. He'll drop to fifth place. Maybe steal fourth back from James Newell, but he doesn't have a lot of time to faff around. We're going to be 3 laps to go next time by, I think. So you got to go.
Yeah, you can see the little change in the look on his face. And yeah, it was Hibbett, obviously, who had that crazy little ride that I think it was just Manis focused on. But Manis got away with it, sits third, and actually has a little bit of a gap back to Newell right now. There they are. Look at this. These two guys have done it door to door before, haven't they?
Yes,
Hibbett and Rice Pudo.
Yeah, spent a lot of time doing that for first and second, not so much for fifth and sixth. We'll see if they can coordinate together.
Oh, did you see behind there? We had cars trying to go 3 wide through the apex, and just every one of them just slow out.
There's an inverse relationship with how high up the order you are and how much you need to work together.
Yeah.
The further back you go, the more you better be a friend to the guy next to you. Guy or gal.
Absolutely. All right, now what happens here? Not a lot of time left, but Newell looks to maybe have become a draft bridge.
Yep, and with the push that Rice Pudo, it looks like Rice Pudo, Hibbett, and Morrow have teamed up finally. And all the while, Soto and Morgan Burkhardt are not.
Oh, look at this. Look at Manis now swinging way up. Burkhardt diving down. Soto the outside line. And then side by each behind them, still Rice Pudo. And Rice Pudo just get a little bit of oh, that's a big off there by Soto. Lost a couple of spots. Got in too hot, Kyle.
Yeah, just drove in too deep. Yeah, that's when you're driving somebody else's marks and not your own.
Yep.
Get yourself in trouble. Looking in the rear view maybe too much?
I think that's exactly right. Suddenly, you've got Hayden Manis sitting in second. He's been showing some speed. Now, he's had to use up a bit more car, I think, than Burkhardt has. Oh!
Gareth Nyland connecting wheels and sending that car skyward for a moment.
What an eventful couple races he's had here.
And it hasn't really put him out of the order. He finished 8th in race 1. He's still 12th.
Yeah.
I've seen this happen at Autobahn Country Club with some Grid Life Touring Cup cars. It's really scary to see the car just bounce when the wheels connect like that.
Yeah. He's able to get away with it here.
Beams picks up 13th. He has 12th on the horizon here with Trace Hans.
All right, so he's doing everything he can to sort of mitigate the flow here in terms of loss of points. And he's got Nyland behind him. Meanwhile, Morgan Burkhardt suddenly half a second clear of Hayden Manis.
Some lap traffic up the road. I don't know that it'll be a huge factor, but Manis is now going to go up against the juggernaut of the Full Sense Sim Series, so he better have some plans in action here. 2 laps to go.
Yep, this is going to be pretty fascinating here because Soto has Newell, Hibbett, Rice Pudo, all of them, as you said. That's a great way to put it, the juggernaut. And up here we go. Tricky turn 3 here. Stay mid-track, a little more out. Beautifully done. Now get this really nice run. But Morgan was equally adept there.
Trouble for Andrew Gilliland here at turn 2. Johnny Morrow tucks in behind him and just carried too much speed and turned him around. Almost looked like he didn't try that hard to lift, like there might have been some frustration before that.
Well, potentially, yeah. That's a good point. Pretty clean there, a little tap there maybe.
I'm sure the stewards will have a look at that one.
I would think. But wow, what a recovery by Andrew.
Yeah, P10 still.
Yeah.
He has just had so little luck. I mean, going back even to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park where he was running very well, just got caught up in incidents that weren't of his own doing. And I think that's really sort of been, the par for the course for him so far this season, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's been tough. Yeah, because he's got such great pace. There's no question of that. All right, 2 to go. And does Morgan have enough to pull it off up front? Or can Manis and Soto get together here, really do something? They've cleared Newell just a little bit.
Look how relaxed he is. She's casually talking on Discord. And I'm sure that he's probably in Discord with some of the other drivers in this front pack, including Camden Hibbett. But pass for second, Soto.
Look at this. Yeah, we've seen great speed from him. But see now, the way he turned in and then exited to try and protect, he's just tightening his radius up, and that just gives Morgan that little bit of extra space here.
So roles reverse. This is the final lap. Last time Soto was the leader and built a large enough gap that Burkhardt couldn't run him down. Soto is within now, I would say, very safe distance to overtake Burkhardt. He's got to stay there the next 2 corners, though.
Well, the one thing is, depending upon how fortune smiles here at Burkhardt, if he catches that car up front, that lap car, and is able to get a little bit of a tow, a problem there for
Dylan Lee.
The number 2 of Dylan Lee, who's up into the top 10. I hate to see that.
Oh, Ian Anderson's in it, too.
And it looks like Deacon, maybe.
Yeah, we'll look at that one post-race.
Serious damage there. Wow, okay.
They're destroyed.
Yeah.
All right, half a second. That's a big gap.
Yeah, it is.
But it's less than last time. 4.5 tenths now as they leave turn 8. And he'll have assistance probably from Manis.
I think so. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Where is that lap car? Because it could help.
Not close enough.
Could hinder. Not close enough. Here we go. Manis might be the guy.
Game on.
I think he's clear enough of Newell. Here we go. Here you can see Soto, the middle car, easing in on the back of Burkhardt. Manis getting that draft right there. When does he pop? When does he try something? Here he goes. Burkhardt covers. Soto up high.
Yep, that's checkered.
And it's Burkhardt.
Yep, and it wasn't even really all that close.
No, it wasn't.
And I'm surprised by that because he was a full 2 tenths closer, and he only got to basically where Burkhardt did on Soto last time.
Yeah,
so,
that was impressive.
That was disappointing, I'm sure, for Soto.
Yeah, absolutely, especially having some help there. But Burkhardt getting the job done.
How about this?
I wonder if that was, look at this. So
Friedhofer
close
and
here.
Shepard. Friedhofer snags 18th.
Nice run. Nice run. Let's take a look here. Just want to see some of our drivers. Jason Burke, one of the drivers who has moved up from SM, ending up in a top 15. Nice run for him. That's the number 52 we were talking about a little bit. Michael Brock, one of the guys coming up as well. So up into the 16th spot. So nice job.
Yeah, very well done in his first effort here in SMX. Drivers will complete their cooldown lap. Margin of victory just over a tenth of a second there for Morgan Burkhardt. What a battle. What a night at Homestead-Miami. We knew this was going to be exciting here. Greg, here's your top 10.
Absolutely. And I wonder if it wasn't Morgan's exit out of 8 that just gave him enough to be able to hang on there by a tenth over Joshua Soto, then another tenth essentially to Hayden Manis, and those top 3 had gapped everybody else a little bit. Newell and Hibbett. Hibbett continues to earn some useful points here, ending up in the top 5.
Yeah, looking down the rest of the order, Sputo Gilliland. Nice rebound after that spin he had.
Amazing rebound.
Yeah, P7. I'm sure he'll take that. Trace Hance, Beans Forster, top 10 with all the chaos there at the very end of the race.
Boy, what a job by Beans to be able to do that. Gareth Nyland, who was pretty much everywhere in a scoring order you could find tonight, at least gets that top 10. We go down a little bit farther, and there you see Jason Burke. Elliot Burton was looking really quick till he had his issues. Brock, Wozy, Friedhofer, Shepard, Daniel Higgins in that green machine into the top 20 after running up near the top 10.
Yeah, Bob Mueller Jr. quietly lurking just outside the top 10. We didn't mention his name a lot tonight at all, but
no,
solid points night. Stephen Blethen, 21st. Jose de las Casas on his debut return, P22 in his second race.
Yeah, and we saw Deacon Greenfield late in that incident that looked like he got pretty battered in that run, and then Preston Part is struggling as well, Celine Roland, and the rest of the field. And Johnny Morrow has to be pretty frustrated because he was showing such good speed earlier in the race and then dropping back. And of course, for Skip Brock coming in, one of the guys that was right up in contention in the points, this one's going to hurt.
Yeah, that's not the night that he needed for sure, and
No.
I think it all started kind of poorly in the first race too, when he got tangled up with Beans. So, all right, there's your race results. Let's talk to our podium finishers, and the first driver we're going to talk to, we haven't talked to him probably in a while, Hayden Manis, 7th in race 1, but 3rd in race 2. Hayden, congratulations. Take us through that race in the very tail end coming to the checkers.
Oh man, it was crazy. Coming for race 1, I guess we'll start there. It was a rough race. I was just trying to get to the front for a good start. In race 2, I did. Then I just kind of try to work my way up. Feels good to finally get a podium. I know last week I had a good qualifying at Daytona and just wasn't able to come out through in the race. But feels good to finally get a podium. So.
Well, one thing we've noticed, Hayden, is we've seen your speed. There's no question about it. And then you put the exclamation point on that at Daytona. But this level right now, this league and SMX is just incredibly tough. So to be able to come out and now put up a podium finish to go along with that pole, that's got to feel sweet, man.
Yeah, it feels good. I'm just trying to get faster every day. It starts with qualifying, and tonight I didn't really have it, but draft definitely wasn't as big of a factor at this track as I had planned it to be. And coming out of the last turn on the last lap, I thought I'd have a run on Soto and Burkhardt, but it wasn't as much as I thought.
Well, with this new program, obviously, Hayden, every lap, let alone every race, is just educational, isn't it?
Absolutely. Just trying to figure out how far off you got to be from the guy in front to make a move at the end. And tonight, obviously, got it wrong, but it is what it is. It was a great time.
Well, you drove a great race up onto the podium, bud. Well done.
Thanks.
Thanks, Hayden.
Appreciate it, guys.
And Morgan Burkhardt wins race number 2. Race 1, it just slipped away from you in the closing stages there, Morgan, but finally a win in the books, and it comes in race 2 here at Homestead. And boy, that was a fun battle there at the end of race 2. Take us through it.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. This track is always a good time. I mean, the draft here is always kind of insane. You have such a long run from the exit of the hairpin to the time that you get to the banking, so it's always a lot of fun here. But race 2, I learned a lot from race 1. I think I left my brain in Daytona. I like every single lap, I would just do something catastrophically awful in a corner and just like blow it, miss a shift, you name it. And then race 1, Josh, I got to give it to him. Never seen anybody do that before. That is huge. Love that move. Just hopping on the brake pedal in the middle of the straight, and then I got on the brake pedal as well because I didn't want to go around him. And when I went to get the throttle, I got a pocket full of neutral. But race 2 is a lot of fun. I mean, it's just a pack race, so it's my mentality is always in these kinds of races is you never really want to go too far backwards because it's hunter be hunted, right? So if you're going backwards, you're gonna go backwards faster. If you're going forwards, you're gonna go forwards faster. So it's a lot easier to run a race when you're out front and leading.
Well, you proved that here in this second race, controlled it beautifully, got a good enough exit out of turn 8 to be able to negate that potential draft that those two guys behind you had. Real quick, just tell us how Daytona went from your perspective. These are a little bit different than a GT4 Porsche. That must have been a blast, dude.
That was incredible. That was absolutely incredible. I talking to everybody, in, around, not on, but everybody within the team is like, if you had told me a year ago that we would go out to the first race of the year and we would have led 93 minutes of the race from drop of the green to almost halfway through the race, would have told you're crazy. And if you had told me that I would be in that position, I would have laughed in your face. I mean, it's the car itself is amazing. Porsche's done a really, really good job with putting that car together. It is so much fun to drive, and dream come true. I mean, TCR was really cool last year, but there's just something about leading overall at Daytona that's just a little bit different.
That's kind of bucket listy, isn't it?
Exactly. I think I was sitting to myself giggling in the car when I made the move for the lead and started to put a little bit of a gap on it, and I was just sitting to myself in the car and I was like, holy crap, I'm leading overall at Daytona in a Porsche. This is absolutely insane. I don't think that feeling's ever going to go. I'm really, really excited to tackle the next 3 years with these guys.
Oh, that's great. We love what you're doing there, but man, we sure love it when you come and and race with us. 3-time champ and the standard setter here. Nice to have you back.
I'm always happy to be back. These are some of the most fun races you can do on a sim.
Thanks, Morgan.
Thank you, guys.
Now we'll move on now to Joshua Soto, who won race 1 of the night in the number 77 car. Came up just about a 1/10 of a second short in race number 2. Josh, what could you do different next time out?
Definitely be closer for race 2. Yeah, definitely be closer. I made a mistake going into turn 1 a couple laps prior, so that really messed up my plans. But yeah, definitely the change would have just been to close the gap more going into the oval, and I would have definitely had a better chance of getting a victory.
Greg? Oh, did we lose him? There he is.
Oh, there he is.
Greg?
Yeah, Josh, I wanted to ask you about that moment when you just dipped the brake on the front straight. Clearly did not, as we're watching a little bit of a drift from you there. You did not obviously want to lead. Morgan said he reacted to it, braked, and then he got some neutrals. It looked to me like you braked, but you still had your foot right there on the throttle, and that was what got you enough of a gap. And you had to hang on to it though through the infield. You got to be pretty proud of those last couple of laps of race 1.
Oh yeah. I noticed the lap prior to that one that he kind of checked up there, so I just tried to see if it would work, and it ended up working for that lap.
Well, nice job, and of course, early in the season, but you came in here 4th in the points, and you get a win in a second when Hibbett and Forster really had some struggles, and Nicholas a little bit as well. I think you're going to be right up into contention here, and I know you're looking forward to that, as are we, for the rest of the year. Well done.
Oh yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Thanks,
you got
Josh.
it.
All right, Greg, man, round 4 at Homestead-Miami. Well done. That was a fun race. We have an amazing schedule this season that we go all over the country. And the next round out, we are heading to another Florida facility, this time Sebring International Raceway. You're saying, hey, we've already done that. Yes, we have, but it is winter time in Florida, so we're at Sebring a lot before heading to Indianapolis Motor Speedway the week after on the 11th.
Yeah, again, this championship is really trying to mirror as much as possible mostly the SCCA Hoosier Tire Championship, but also FARA. And so that's why, we tend to spend a bit of time here, this time of year. And hey, it's never a bad thing to go have some fun at Sebring. So big thank you again to Full Send Sims, obviously, to FARA we've been talking about. Remember, not this coming weekend, but the next weekend is the opener of their 2025 season at Homestead-Miami Speedway. And then we've always got to, of course, say huge round of thanks to the sponsors that have been with us forever here. 3P Logistics, amazing track services, and Final Turn Motorsports, full service prep shop, trackside support, and Wine Country Motorsports has been with us for a long time as well. Again, 1 week from tonight, Tuesday night, we will be at Sebring for round 5, a third of the way through the new SMX Championship. And hopefully we'll have Kyle feeling a little bit better there with a cold. And hopefully I'll keep feeling better, and we'll be able to bring all the action to you. We will see you then. For Kyle and for Finian DeCuna, again, and the great job he always does. And big thanks to him and TJ for filling in for me in the last couple of races. We will see you next Tuesday night.